Hey everybody, I hope you can see me. Maybe not. I'm gonna wait another minute here. I'm testing this also on my tablet to see who can see it. As long as I can see it on the tablet, I guess I can hope that everybody else can see it too. In just a minute. No. No. Okay, I see we have one viewer. 2 viewers, yay! It's working. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I apologize for the technical difficulties this morning. Things changed from the last time I did this, and it got a little complicated. So I'm just getting my PowerPoint set up here, and we will be starting in just a minute. Hopefully that will give some time for a few more people to get on the line with us as well. And I hope everybody is doing well. We're just another minute or two here. We should be ready to go. I apologize for the delay, but I promise we'll still cover everything that, that needs to be covered today. Okay, let's see if I can get Google to share my screen. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope. All right. I am screen sharing, and we're going to get off of that page because that is craziness. Okay. So welcome to the webinar. This is, I call it monkey-powered email marketing because although it's a chimp, and I'm not sure if a chimp is a monkey, tell me, but I won't sing it because I won't sing to you guys because that would, I don't know, that's not a good thing. So I love using MailChimp. MailChimp is always billed as being this really easy to use email marketing software. And it is pretty easy and it is pretty intuitive. But the easy and intuitive stuff really is just kind of like the basic things in MailChimp. And there's a lot of other features that it has that people don't ever seem to know about. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to cover today. So let's get started with a little bit about me. That's a picture of me with this fantastic statue guy that sits on a bench at our local amusement park. And I thought it was really funny to sit down and take a picture with him. I started my business in 2006, and I've been working with WordPress and press site that I did was really a trial by fire, sink or swim sort of thing. I had designed a website for somebody and it was great and he loved the way it looked. And then he said, okay, now how do I edit it? And so I had to make a WordPress site that looked exactly like this site that I had built in just, you know, HTML code, Dreamweaver, whatever. And so I really had to figure out how to go custom with WordPress right out of the gate. And ever since then, I just like learning all of these other tips and tricks to make things do fun things. I have a membership site that I call the WP Toolbox, the WordPress Toolbox, that I started last year. It has right now over 40 videos on how to do a bunch of different things in WordPress, how to integrate it with MailChimp and Aweber, some information on different plugins and things like that. I like making videos. I like helping people learn how to do stuff, and so that's a good way for me to do it. And I'm also the mom of 2 kids, 3 cats, and some extra foster cats, and a whole bunch of websites. So why MailChimp exactly? Like I said, there's a bunch of different email marketing options out there. A lot of people will start with MailChimp because it's free. And aside from the fact that it's free to get started, there are some other great benefits. And it's really a user-friendly interface, even if you're not technical. It has a great drag and drop interface that makes it easy to create things, to build your emails, that kind of stuff. Their emails are already responsive if you're using one of their templates. The easy to use interface, it integrates with lots of other websites and things and services. So not just WordPress, it can integrate with WooCommerce and all kinds of other popular plugins and services that are out there. Have a lot of features, just like some of the bigger guys have, some of the ones that can be very confusing. May not have all the bells and whistles, but it does offer a lot of stuff for a really reasonable price tag. Some things that I always like to talk about when I start talking about email marketing are the CAN-SPAM rules. Those are the rules here in the US for email marketing. And basically the 2 biggest things is that it must, aside from not being able to send emails to people that haven't opted into your list, so you can't just find somebody's email address or business card and add them onto your list. They have to approve it. They have to receive the information from you. Aside from that, the biggest thing that you really need to remember is that it has to have a physical mailing address on every email. So if you're running a business out of your home and you don't necessarily want your home address on all of these emails, that's why I have a P.O. box, because I don't want to give out my home address, but I do work from home most of the time, and I need to have a physical mailing email address, a physical mailing address, pardon me, for email marketing and for a lot of other things. The other thing about CAN-SPAM is that it does require that you have an easy to use unsubscribe option. Thing that's like, send a postcard with a picture of your creation to this address and we'll remove you in 3 to 6 weeks. It has to be really the person that doesn't want to be on your list anymore to do it. And that's why MailChimp and a lot of other email marketing services automatically include an unsubscribe link at the bottom of every message that you cannot take off. You cannot edit it. You cannot remove it. You cannot not give your subscribers the option of opting out if they don't want to. Okay. And then in addition to the US CAN-SPAM rules, there's some Canadian spam laws that went into effect in 2014, and I always mention these 2. I don't know all of the rules. I don't remember them. They're very similar to the US CAN-SPAM stuff, but the biggest thing that I remember that I always talk about with this is that it requires a double opt-in for Canadian subscribers. So if there's a chance that somebody could decide to sign up for your list that lives in Canada, you have to have a double opt-in for them. And double opt-in means that there's 2 steps for them to actually opt in. So the first step would be filling out the box on your website that says, hey, I want to sign up for your list, right? And then they put in their email address. And then the double opt-in part is when they get an email message from you that says, I just want to confirm that you actually want to be on my list. And they have to click the confirmation link in that email before they're actually subscribed to your list. I know a lot of people that are especially newer in online marketing, or they might want to avoid the double opt-in thing because they think it's too much work for their visitors. I don't want to make them have to click a link. I just want them to be on my site, on my list when they fill out the box. The double opt-in is there really to protect you as well as them. So it protects your visitors by making sure that they're not added onto a whole bunch of lists that they didn't actually ask to be added onto. And it protects you because aside from them entering their email address and the email marketing software capturing the information about when they signed up, right? So it captures the date and the time and the IP address and the website that they used to sign up on your list. In addition to capturing all of that information, having the double opt-in that has to be confirmed from their email address really is a good way to make sure that the only people that are on your list are the people that have decided for themselves that they want to be on your list, and that you're less likely to get tools for adding people to your list that don't want to be there. Okay, so now that we've covered rules, we're going to go into some fun stuff. So the first thing that you need to do when you're getting started with MailChimp is create an account. I do have a video creating an account because I actually created a second account and recorded my second account. But it's really pretty easy. If you just go to their site and say, I want to create an account, and follow the steps that they give you, it's really easy to create an account. It is going to ask you for your mailing address, your physical address, during the account creation process. That's one of the things why I made sure I told you that you need it, and that's because of the canned spam rules. You're just going to go to the sign up button. It's going to ask you for some information, and it'll help you set up the account. Account creation is a fairly simple and straightforward process. Not a whole lot of tricks or anything there that you need to worry about. The next thing you want to do after you've created your account, you're going to verify your email address, all of that other stuff, create your account, and then you want to actually set up a list. Now you can have multiple lists. I generally actually try to keep everything to one list, but I will go over that a little bit later. But you can, you want to create at least one list, right? You can't add people to a list if you don't have a list created. And then you want to customize your forms. And some of the forms that we need to customize are the basic sign up form. That's where people are actually going to sign up to add themselves to your list. There's the opt-in confirmation email. That's that email that gets sent to them as part of the double opt-in process that I just talked about. And then there's also a confirmation page and email that really we should customize. And then maybe you want to customize your unsubscribe form. And we're going to take a look at customizing all of those here in just a minute. We're going to go do that right now. So let's jump back over. I've already created my MailChimp account. So we're going to jump into there slowly, apparently, because whenever I'm doing a webinar, the internet has fun with me. And I'm going to leave this guy here for just a minute because this is a really fun thing, but I'm going to show you that later. So I'm going to jump into my lists page. If you already created a list, if you already have a MailChimp account and you've created a list, but you haven't done the forms part yet, this is you can go to that list. If not, if you need to, just click the Create a List button. And it's going to ask you for some information. What do you want to call the list? The default sending address of this would be typically yours, your name, and this is a good reminder part. You're receiving this information because you signed up on my website or because you dropped your business card in and asked to be signed up at this conference that you attended or that kind of thing. And then the mailing address that needs to be on there for the list. Okay, but I'm not going to do that because I already have a bunch of lists. Okay, so when you're customizing your forms, we're going to go to your list. You're going to click on it like this. Just click on the list name. And you want to go over here to your sign up forms. Go fast, like the wind, grasshopper. Okay, you have some couple of different options here. There's general forms, embedded forms that would go onto your website, subscriber pop-up, and some form integrations. We're just going to stick up here. We're going to start with the general forms because this is the stuff, these are the forms that all kind of happen within MailChimp, and those are the ones we want to customize. Okay, I hope everybody's with me so far. If you have any questions, if you're having any problems hearing me, I don't know if you can get to the chat window in the Google Hangout, or just send me an email and I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Okay, so on our sign up forms, when we get to the page, I mean, it says create forms. We don't really have to create them. They do already exist, but we do have to make them look nice and match the branding for our site. As you can see, there's a lot of different forms and different things that we can customize. We're only going to worry about a few of them today. And these are the ones, excuse me, that tend to have ones that people see the most. So This is kind of the basic starting point for every MailChimp form. This gray background, white box, blah. We're going to start these options here, the build it, design it, and then translate it. I'm not touching translate it. I don't do other languages, especially languages that have verbs. Programming languages, maybe. Languages with verbs, those are challenging to me. So build it is going to allow you to add some different options here for just your basic opt-in form. And this isn't necessarily the form that's going to be on your website. What MailChimp gives you is this specific URL that people can come to and sign up to be on your website, even if you don't have a website to put this form on. So you're brand new, you're just starting out, you've got a Facebook page and an Instagram account and a MailChimp account, right? So this sign up form, this URL here, is where you can send people to get them onto your list. So this is where we're going to start with the customizing, because the design stuff that we do here will transfer through to all of the other form stuff. So build it, again, you can add in some different fields here. I'm just going to stick with email address and first name and last name, but I do prefer to have email address at the bottom. Is it going to let me move it? Yeah. So I like to have first name, last name, and then email address. Goes around, you just drag them around. And then let's go over to, let's check out our field settings here. So we just clicked on it and it jumped over to field settings over here. I'm going to make first name a required field. And we're going to save that. And then I'm going to go down and make the email address also a required field. Last name, we'll leave that as optional. Email address is a required field automatically. There's actually no way for you to change it because it doesn't really make sense to allow people to sign up for an email marketing list if they don't give you your email address. Okay. And last name is not required, as you see here. So let's jump over to design it. And now you can see we've got a bunch of different things here. So page is all of this area here. You can make this a different color. You would just change that right here. And as you see, there's page background, page header, which is this part here, and the outer wrapper, which is this kind of outline area here. You can change these so that they are different colors in all of them. The background color, the outer wrapper color. If we change this to, not that I recommend doing this, but we could change it to something like that and just show it so you can see where that color applies to. And then in the header, you can choose to have a font size, change the font size and all of that. Or if you click over here, you can see that you can actually just use an image. And this is typically what I do, because then they can put in their logo from their website, kind of, that same header maybe that you have on your website, just a smaller version. You can upload the images from your computer, or in this case, I have some that I've already saved here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick that. I'm going to say, yep, that's what I want to use. It's the header image, right? This margin bottom is why I'm seeing this here. I don't want that. We're just going to make that say 0. Put it away. Awesome. Outer wrapper, even though I changed the background color, you can't see it, but I'm actually just going to change it back to white real quick, because I want to make sure that, that it is actually white. And then for the page background, so that's this outer gray area. I typically will make that white too, because I don't like having the background color. I feel like it makes the emails hard to read. So I'm just going to go ahead and make everything white. We've got my image here. We've got our form. So that's all the page stuff. The body is, remember, is this area here. So this area that's outlined in red is the body. It does have a background of white. You can change that to something else if you want. You can change the default text information, the line height, the font color, all of that kind of stuff, and also the color for the link. And that's all for this stuff, again, in this area. And then you can change stuff for the actual form. So the form buttons, what color should the buttons be? I'm going to grab something that's a little closer to the colors that I have in my graphic. Of course, if you actually have the hex values for the actual color, I would recommend you do that. And then button hovered is so when somebody moves their mouse over it, you can have it change to a different color as well. And then change the text color there as well. Field labels would be these parts. You can change the text color. The font, all of that stuff. And the field text itself would be whatever your visitors are typing into those areas. And then there'll be a little notification that comes up when things are required. So you can change the text color for it and also the required legend. And that means, do you want it to show which fields are required? So since I changed that setting, it's going to take a second to reload the page here. And that's where we're seeing that. Can I move? I would really like that to be down at the bottom too. Maybe I'll have to change that and build it. And then also you have the option to change the color for your help text and any errors. Monkey Rewards is this little guy that's down here at the bottom. It's automatically included in any free account. It's basically an affiliate link for people that sign up. Affiliate programs typically work where you get money if somebody signs up using your link. If somebody signs up for a free MailChimp account, you don't get any money. If they sign up for a premium MailChimp account, I believe you do get money from it, but it's just their way of tracking, and you cannot remove it if you have a free account. But you do have some options. And then there's a couple of different options of what you can have it look like. So you can do the little old kind of postage cancellation thing there. You could pick the name, image, the monkeys, whichever one you want. Maybe something like this is a little less intense than the graphic. You just want to have the name down there. That's your choice. That's fine. So now all of this design stuff that we've done is been for the sign up form. And if we were to go and look at it, we just what we created. But here's the fun thing is that once we go from that sign up form to let's say our opt-in confirmation email, it's going to remember all of those styling things that we did. So it remembers the graphic, it remembers the colors that we chose for everything. We don't have to set those at every time. So I start with a sign up form, but it does kind of carry it across all of the different forms. If you want to change it, you should be able to. But this is that freebie page that they create for us that says, here's how people can get on your list. And you would be able to share that on, Facebook or social media, wherever. Okay, so back to our opt-in confirmation. Here is where I usually like to edit and just say something. Hey there, thanks for signing up for my list to make sure information that you want. Please confirm your, All right, so it's really pretty simple to change the text there. As you can see, it was a very familiar GUI interface. Work for you to, format it and how you want it. It's all very big, and I do not want it very big. And I do not want it bold. It's probably because something weird happened. So I'm going to go ahead and try to change that again. Okay. Now this part down here, I mean, you could delete it, but it's in your best interest to keep it. And then what you're not seeing here is the unsubscribe links and stuff like that. Those are automatically added, and those usually will show up down here. You don't have a choice whether or not to include them. Like I said, they're automatically included. Here you can change some of this information. So this is the information that you set up when you set up this list. If you want to change it, you can change it here. And you'll note that there's an absence of a save button. Changes are automatically saved. All right, so that's our opt-in confirmation email. And then I want to do our confirmation thank you page. And this one is a little bit different. So if you don't have a website, you can have a confirmation thank you page where people sign up for. Or that it'll take them to after they've done that, click to confirm. If you have a freebie giveaway or something like that, this is where you would want to put a link to it. Thanks for signing up. Here's your gift. And you could upload a PDF. You can upload it to here. You can have it sitting on your website or Dropbox or wherever you have it. If you don't have a site that you can redirect them to. If you have a page on your site that you can redirect them to, and you would prefer that they do that, up here. Thank you, or confirmation, or whatever the page is called. And instead of taking them to this page, to this one here that's hosted on MailChimp, it'll take them to your website. So that's where you would do that. And then there's the final welcome email. So this is the confirmation email that they're going to get. And this, again, if you have a gift, I would put it in here. So you're going to go up here and edit the content to say, here's your free gift. And you can, again, upload it here. You can link where they can download it. However you have it, that's where you would put it. If there's some other instruction that you want them to do, hey, check out our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, hang out with us on Instagram, whatever you want it to be, this is another place where you can put a call to action for them because they're going to get this. And then you just want to make sure that you do actually come up here and tell them to actually do send a final welcome email, because it won't send the welcome email unless you have this checked. Okay, so that's our basic forms. You can also, sometimes I like to customize the unsubscribe form because this maybe gives you an option to say, like, we're sorry to see you go. Would you mind telling me why you're leaving? And then let's look at our build it options here. Okay, so they can't add any other information. But, maybe we can ask them to tell us why they're leaving, right? So if you're curious, you could do that. If not, you could just let it be. Okay, so that's the form stuff that I wanted to show you. And then let's get back here. Okay, so one of the things that I like that MailChimp has that some of the bigger guys have, Infusionsoft. When I first heard about Infusionsoft, pushed as a great feature for them was that that you could tag people for how they signed up and have specific actions based on how they signed up or what they signed up for. So you can have a form on your site that says they signed up for my MailChimp Webinar, or they signed up for at this event, and send different messages to them based on those kind of those tags, those labels. You can do that also in MailChimp, and that's one of those things that people didn't realize until I started playing around with it. One of the other things that I really like about using groups is it helps to keep my subscriber number low. So rather than creating for the webinar and a list for the event and a list for the webinar I'm doing next month and a list for the webinar I'm doing next year, and having all these different lists, and maybe you have the same person that's on all of those different lists, and then they're going to get the email 5 different times. Nobody wants to get the same message 5 times. It helps to keep your subscriber numbers low, and it helps to keep people from getting multiple messages because everything's on one list, just using different groups. And it also really allows you to target your message so that you're not sending out the newsletter reminder or the webinar reminder to everybody. You're just sending it out to the people that actually signed up. And you can make groups hidden or public so that people can, in some situations, maybe choose which group they want to be in. If you have topics, multiple topics that you send out information on, you can say, are you interested in getting the information about websites or just MailChimp or all of it, foster cats, whatever. People could self-select, or they can choose to opt in using forms that you have created. So some of the different events that I have, I had a 14 days email campaign that I did back in 2014, called it the 14 Days of 2014. And so those are that. But then as you can see right here, I have this person that was signed up through the 14 days thing, but also was signed up on a different campaign that I did called the 30-Day Website Challenge. So they can be in multiple events. The group I have is called events, and then I have multiple events under it. So they can be in multiple groups, and then it'll just send the message to both of them. So I don't have to have multiple lists. That person, if they were on 2 different lists, would get a message, and I was sending it to both groups, both lists. They would get it twice. This way they only get it once. So let's go take a look at how to handle those groups on your site. So once you have created your list, you've created your forms, we're going to go in and create some groups. When you're in your list that you want, under Manage Subscribers, you can create groups. And it tells you a little bit of information about groups. You can look at that, but we're just going to go ahead and click the Create Groups button. This is where you're going to decide if this is something that they get to see or not. Or at least for what I do, I generally say, don't show these groups on my sign-up form. I have different sign-up forms on my site that when they fill out that form, it adds them into a specific group. So it's not the same for where, but you could certainly make one if you wanted to allow people the option to go in. So okay, so you can create your groups here, add more as needed. You can drag them around to rearrange them. We're just going to go ahead and hit save. All right, so now I have these groups and I have a list. It's basically asking me, do I want to pick people that are already on my list to insert into some of these groups? I'm not going to do that right now, but we'll do that as we're moving forward. So we're going to say done for now. This is really easy. As far as using groups, so if we were going to send a campaign, let's create a new campaign. And we're just going to say regular old campaign. And it's slow. I apologize. I have no control over the internets. My life might be a little bit easier sometimes if I did have control over the internets, but I do not. All right, so now it's asking, the first thing it's always going to ask when you create a new campaign is who are you sending it to? So I'm going to pick, for this purpose, I'm going to pick my general list. Do I want to send it to my entire list? Or there's segments or groups, right? So I can say, let's signed up for my 30-day challenge message, my 30-day challenge campaign. And then I'm going to click up here and tell it to update the recipient count. And there's 32 people that signed up for that. Select multiple. So in here, you could select multiple groups. And this is if they have signed up for one of them. I want somebody that signed up for all of them, right? There's nobody that signed up for all of them. Or maybe this is only people that haven't signed up for those campaigns. So you want to target the rest of your list and say, hey, I noticed you haven't signed up for this yet. Do you want to? Like, here's your last chance. You can also add multiple criteria. So, maybe somebody that is, we'll pick this one before the last campaign was sent. Okay. And now this says any, but if I changed it to all of these, it has to match this one and this one to 441. Okay. So as you can see, there's lots of different options here on how you can segment your list so that you're sending information, really targeted information to the people that really need to see it. You can send the reminders about your events only to people that have signed up for those events if you're using groups to manage that. And a last chance reminder to people that haven't signed up for it. Hey, there's a special that I'm having and you haven't signed up, you haven't clicked on it. So, if you want to do that, or if you're running a special and maybe you announced it in your last email, your last mailing at the beginning of every month, but you want to send a reminder out or send out information about it to people that have signed up since the beginning of the month. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. It can be really powerful. I really suggest that you come in here sometime and just play with the groups. Really, all of the different options that you have. The other thing I want to do, go back to campaigns, is look at segments, because segments, groups you can create. Segments are things that MailChimp has basically created for you. Segments, you can make your own segments. But there's a lot of pre-built ones. So these are people, you have your new subscribers, people that have joined the list in the last 7 days, maybe people that have opened stuff in the last 5 campaigns, or you can send a message out to your inactive subscribers. And this is a good way to kind of clean the list. I don't have a huge list, but I get a pretty decent interaction from my list. But if I wanted to make sure that I really have only people on my list that are really focused, that actually want to hear from me, that have actually paid attention to things that I've sent them, I can say, I want to send a message to anybody that hasn't clicked or opened any of my last 5 campaigns. I know you, but I just want to make sure that problem. So do you want to keep getting emails from me, or would you rather not, right? And you can put some information into that. You can use it to connect to an e-commerce store. You can, if you have the paid version of MailChimp, you can do some demographics about your customers. So only send a message to females, only send a message to males, whatever you want to do. So segments can be really powerful as well. All right, let's go back. And so now that I've talked about groups and segments way too much, we just did that. So now the other important thing, though, is great. You have a MailChimp account. You've created your list. You've created some fantastic looking forms for your list. You have a website. You're not just going to use the the MailChimp opt-in page, but you need to know how to put it on your site. Okay, we're going to go back to our list. And this time, we're going to go to our embedded forms. Okay, and this is where it's going to give us code to put onto our website. In a couple of different places we can use it. So we can see the preview of how we want it to look here. All right, this is the classic form. It has this title here. We can change. Or you could just say, nah, I don't want it, right? You can choose whether or not to only show required fields or all of the fields that you created for that list. Whether or not you wanted to show the interest group fields, the ones that we made public, or you could hide those, that kind of thing. So there's all of this information here. And then after you make your changes, you're going to come down here. You're going to take this bit of code, and usually I just kind of click in there and push Control A to select it all, and Control C to copy. And then you're going to go over to your website. Of course, I do WordPress stuff, so I'm going to show you how to put this into your WordPress site. So you could, if you're going to take this into your site, you would want to go over to the text part to put it in, because you're putting in code. And if you put this in on the visual part, it's not going to work out so well. But if you put it into the text part, you're adding in the code. You can see the fields being built here. And if we update the page and we go take a look at it, we should be able to see the form on the page. Okay, so here's what we just created, and it's pulling in, the colors that we have for this theme. You do have some other options for forms here. You have the super slim form that is just an email address, and there's really not a lot. You don't even have the option to add something else. You could do a horizontal form so that the button is next to the email field instead of below it. This kind of form is becoming very popular on a lot of sites. A lot of designs. Naked form means you just get the form fields. You don't get any of the JavaScript that it does for field validation. You don't get any of the style sheets that it includes to make it look nice. You just get this. So if you're comfortable with code, you take this and you make it do what you want. And then with the advanced, some options for adding some different things. So most people, I'm guessing, would go with either classic or probably horizontal. And you're just going to paste that code in. And now we put it in a page. It could also get put into like a text widget to show up on your sidebar. So we're going to go down here. We're going to grab a text widget. All right, sidebar. We're going to drag it up to the top so we can actually see this bad boy. And we're going to paste that code in here. So now, because we put this in a widget, it should show up everywhere. The styling of this, of course, for the widgets makes the text white. So that's something that things are going to be different for every different website. You might have to play with it a little bit, depending on what your theme and everything looks like. But you can do this. You can grab the code from here and put it into your site. And it's great that they give it to you. The problem is that it's also really easy to accidentally break this, to accidentally take part of it out that makes it work, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. And maybe people are trying to sign up for your list, but they're never actually getting to your list. The form is just going into limbo or whatever. So you want to make sure, right, it works properly, because if it doesn't work properly, it's not helpful to anyone. So I'm going to show you two different ways. So I use a plugin called Gravity Forms. I love Gravity Forms. I put Gravity Forms on everything, like that old lady in the commercial with the hot sauce, right? I put it on everything. But Gravity Forms is a premium plugin, which means that you have to pay for it. So it's not the right solution for everybody. And I'm actually not going to spend a whole lot of time going over gravity forms today, because that's not the point of it. This isn't like how to do stuff with gravity forms. This is how to get MailChimp onto my site. So if you have gravity forms, I think I have some videos on my YouTube channel for that. If not, I should make some and put them up there soon. There's definitely some in the WP Toolbox. I'm just going to mention real quick, the WPToolbox.com. Again, over 40 videos. I'm probably adding a few more next week on all different kinds of stuff that you can do with WordPress, including a bunch of stuff with MailChimp. And it's only $20 a year. So if you want to sign up for that, it's the WPToolbox.com. About that. I found a great new plugin that makes it really easy for you to add in, excuse me, MailChimp forms on your website. So there's one called MailChimp for WP, MailChimp for WordPress. One second, please. That is pretty easy to use. You connect it with your MailChimp account through an API key. But it only lets you make one form with the free version. So you can only have one form on your site, which for most people is probably okay, right? I only need one form. I'm just going to stick it in the sidebar and let people sign up. But when you start doing more things, like I want to have webinars and I want to track who's signing up for this webinar versus the other ones, and I want to see who I got from JV mailing list thing versus another one, right? You want to be able to track kind of where people found you. You need more than one form. There's apparently a premium version of this MailChimp for WP that allows you to do multiple forms. I'm not a huge fan of how this plugin works. It's a little kludgy to me. So I haven't even explored the premium version. But there's one that I just found out about today. This one here, it's called Easy Forms for MailChimp, and it's by a group called Yikes Plugins. I met them at WordCamp US last year, and they were really cool people, and I'm excited to actually have a chance to use one of their plugins now. Really simple to use, guys. I played with this for the first time this morning and got it to work in like 6.5 minutes, and actually recorded myself playing with it for the very first time, and then just put that on my YouTube channel this morning. So you can go check it out. But basically, you go to settings first, and you need to put in your API key. You get your API key by going to account, and then extras, API keys, in your MailChimp account. And I'm not going to show you the exact steps for creating one because the button to create new API keys is below all of my other API keys listed. And I don't want to share that because that's not supposed to be public information. Where am I at? But you just paste it in here. It says it's connected. Fantastic. And then literally the next thing I did was go to opt-in forms. Now, I made this one this morning in just a few minutes, but we can show you another one real quick. Over here, a name. You can put in a form description or not if you want. That's your choice. And I'm going to do it to my generalist because I want to show you how you can actually use this to do your specific forms to tie into different groups and stuff too. So, got this neat drag and drop interface, right? I'm going to click on first name. It's not exactly drag and drop. And then we'll do email address and add those over here, right? If you click on each of them, you can choose whether or not it's required. Of course, email address is always required. And then what I like to do, this is a neat feature, label, it's just the word like next to the field, the form field, like this. This is a label. This is the form field. A placeholder means that the of the form, the label basically shows inside it. And when somebody starts to type, it deletes and gets sent with their information. So I'm going to put in a placeholder and I'm going to go down here and click hide label. And this is all stuff that I learned in like 6 minutes this morning, guys. I think the total video like playing around with this theme for the very first time, having no idea what I was doing, is under 10 minutes. I'm really excited about this. I really can't wait to play more with this plugin. All right, and then if you go over to interest groups here, this is where you can pick which group you want them to go to, right? So I have my events. I'm going to click that here, and I'm going to say which group I want them to go into. And now this is a hidden field. So see, type hidden. This is a hidden field, so nobody's going to see it. But when they get added to my MailChimp list, they're going to go and get added to that group as well. So we're just going to click Update Form there. And it's going to save all of that loveliness for us. Some other things that we can do over here, or you can change which list it's associated with. So if you had it on a different list and you want to switch it, you can do that here. We've got a lot of control settings, whether you want to do a single or double opt-in. Remember, the Canadian spam laws require a double opt-in, so I always leave that at double opt-in. You can choose whether or not you want it to send a welcome, the final welcome email. You can choose whether or not you want it to update an existing subscriber. If Jane is already on your list and Jane now signs up for this special form that gets her added into a special group, do you want it to update her subscriber record to show that she is now part of that group that is signed up for that specific information? So that's why I will say yes. The send update email is asking basically if you want it to send them an email that says, hey, Jane, I see you're already on the list and you signed up for this other group. Do you want to let us do that? I'm going to say no. I'm just going to make that automatic because that is one of those things where I don't want to make my subscribers have to do too many things. And then there's some some redirect or submission settings. So the redirect on submission is pretty cool. After they filled out the form, where do you want them to go? Do you want it to update or replace their existing interest groups? That's what I would say, recommend you pay attention to. And then just update form. And now we're going to go back in and edit. I don't even know what page I'm on anymore. We're going to add a form to this page. Why not? It gives you, so you see that it gives you the short code. And this is kind of cool, right? You could put that onto a page or a post or a widget. If your widgets do short codes, not all widgets do short codes. Most do, but sometimes they don't. You could put it wherever you want. You could just plop that bad boy right there, and that's going to make the form. But if you don't have the short code, or just create the form like I did, and it's a form that you've already created and you want it, and you're typing a new blog post and you want to add it in, you've got this cute little monkey on your icon bar now. Which form do you want? And do you want me to show you the title and the description? And do you want the submit button to say something other than, I don't know, submit, right? So you can make it say that. And now it adds the short code for you. Let's update the page and then go take a look at it. I'm feeling like I am talking very exuberantly this morning. I'm curious if you guys feel like I'm a little extra bouncy this morning. I'm always bouncy, but maybe I'm a little extra bouncy today. So let's go take a look at this page. And there's our form. One other thing that I think is super cool about this this Forms plugin. So again, it's Easy WP, Easy Forms for MailChimp from Yikes. And it's in the WordPress repository. So if you just go to plugins and add new and put in Easy Forms for MailChimp, it should come up very easy to find. One of the other things that I think is cool about this plugin is that it allows you to do the inline form, the horizontal form, that is, again, very popular. So I'm just going to change it real quick to inline and update. And let's go back to the page. And now everything's horizontal. Isn't that pretty? I love how it does it so easy for you and you don't have to do all of the extra things. Some other things under form settings, you can choose whether you want what the button text to say, or if you want it to be an image instead. You can choose to schedule the form so that it's only active on your site between certain times. If you want people to only be able to sign up for your special offer between certain dates, then you can do that. And there's a require login, and then you can choose some customized messages. So these are the messages that will be displayed, and it tells you over here what they're all for. So you have really a lot of control over about the level of control that I have when I'm using Gravity Forms to set up my MailChimp forms. And this is all from a free plugin. So I'm really excited about this plugin. I expect to find myself talking about it a lot more in the future. Okay, so, but that is, I think, everything that I wanted to cover today. At you a lot about so how to create your account, right? Super easy. How to customize your list so that they have your branding, your colors, all of that other stuff, so they don't look like generic hodgepodgey kind of messages. How to get those things connected, and then how to put them on your site, because it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to have an email list website, but the forms to get on the email list aren't there, right? That doesn't help. And groups are fantastic. I love talking about groups. So that's what I have to talk to you all about today. I'm going to see if I can jump back into my Google Hangouts. And I stopped sharing because I wanted to see if anybody had been able to. No. I think because of the way I set it up, you can't get to the group chat. So, so I stopped sharing my screen so I could check the chat window without it being that crazy warp hole thing that it was doing. But I would love to hear any comments that you guys might have about the website, or I'm sorry, about the webinar. So if you could just hit reply maybe on one of those emails that you got about the webinar today, and let me know what you thought about it all. Or I'm going to share my screen with you one more time. And if you don't have one of those emails, this is my email address, Terry@beyondtheoffice.com, and send me an email and let me know what you thought about the webinar, about the content, about my presentation, about the fun new plugin that I found. Whatever you want to tell me about the webinar, I'd love to hear about it. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I hope everybody learned something fun and new that they're excited about using with it. And stay tuned to my mailing list to find out about other webinars that I'm going to be doing. I think I'm going to try to do one next month in November about different ways to back up your website. Important. So stay tuned to the mailing list to learn about that. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.